Matt, the biggest problem when I ask any CIO about why they are not releasing faster, the biggest problem is continuous compliance and security. They say, well, we have our environments that we have to build, and every environment is regulated, and it takes us so much time to build it and to deploy it and to certify it. So it just takes multiple days for the release from test to staging and from staging to production. And that's exactly what you guys are addressing with your start left philosophy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things that we talk about, so we attach policies to environments. So you might say my production environments for this particular app are going to look a certain way. You define those with policy. And guess what? If I spin up another environment and associate it with production with that application by putting labels on it or tags on it so it looks like that, it inherits those policies automatically. So when I scale out my production environment from 3 Kubernetes clusters to 6 because I'm going to need more workload, those policies are automatically attached as well. So it's the notion of building the policy in from the get-go, and then even as you grow, you need a new environment for a new app, great. Assign these policies, they're automatically deployed.
Yes, and they're still the same policies, whether I move it to Google Cloud Platform or to AWS or to, Fargate on AWS. And if it doesn't support those policies, it just can't run. And that said, is that going to be a problem, that stuff can't run in certain beloved technologies that developers like to use?
It's a very fair question. So I would say when you look at cloud native workloads, the common layer here is Kubernetes and the common set of Kubernetes APIs, which in general, that's where we're managing. We're managing at the kube layer. We're running, in essence, extensions on kubectl to manage those Kubernetes environments consistently with consistent configuration. You may run into things in Kubernetes, such as if a managed Kubernetes platform is a back-level version of Kubernetes, and maybe there's a new feature that you require from a security configuration perspective that's only in a newer version of Kubernetes. It gets a little bit more interesting when you talk about it at the virtualization layer, so between a VMware or an OpenStack or an AWS IaaS layer as well. And I think that's where you have a little bit more variability because there's not a common standard as there really is emerging around Kubernetes for containers.
Yeah, because ultimately I could do very useful things like prevent the deployment of an application to an environment that may be compliant but not offer enough performance, right? Where I already know on Black Friday this app is going to have a problem.
Absolutely. So not just performance, but also things like cost too, as you get into the multi-public cloud environment. So the logical extension of sort of these policies is also the policies around placement. So one of the reasons you do placement is security and compliance policies. Another might be performance, available capacity. Another might be cost and billing. All of those things become different types of policies and different types of decisions that you can make in terms of where do you want to run your application, and programmatically might you want to change where you run your application because of something that is happening or that might happen, like a Black Friday that's coming up in a couple months, right?
Matt, thank you very much. This brings us much closer to our almost decade-old dream of policy-driven deployment and placement and operations. So very exciting to hear. Thank you.
Thank you.